Wonderful.
Sweating so bad.
I've got dry mouth. She's sweating. Are there any symptoms you have that you'd like to
Share.
talk about?
I mean, we can definitely get into what it's like to be the husband of a perimenopause woman, and
Oh my God, let's go there,
the
please.
one-
Straight in with it. Wow.
the
It's-
1 degree variance in my house, 70 degrees, she's freezing, 71, she's on fire, and I just have to be like, no, I totally get it, babe, totally. I'm on. Yep, all good. Anyways,
Yes.
it's wonderful.
Oh, well done. Well done.
But I do know for a fact, because my wife is zero complaints 24/7. So if she's complaining, it's very real. So I'm living through it with her, and I'm like, oh, I don't wish I had it, but I do have the empathy for you. Like, I get it. Like, I don't treat it as trivial whatsoever. So yeah, that's where we're at.
You've just won the hearts of all over 40-year-old women. So well done, sir.
Yes, yes. My favorite thing that I've found so far is basically if what happens to women during perimenopause and menopause was happening to a man, we would send that man to the ER like that. And then with women, it's just like, man, that's part of life. And it's like men would freak out and just be like with surgeons going like, what do we do? What do we do? And then it's like, nah, sorry. So I feel it. Yep. Anyways, hi.
Welcome.
Well,
Well,
you were made for this podcast.
Is there anything we can't talk about?
nothing.
Really? Can I lead with something?
Of course.
Wait.
The
Let me check
first
I'm
thing-
recording here. What
The
the
first thing I
fuck?
need to know, like, is this the podcast, or will you guys give me like a 3, 2, 1, just so I can kind of be like, hey,
You
everybody.
did that all
Like,
by yourself when you started about perimenopause, I think.
Yeah, that was the
it.
in. That's the clip.
Alrighty, can't wait. But no, nothing is off the table. Anything you guys want to talk about?
So I'm going to start with something I've just noticed. I was just on Instagram and saw that you have 171,000 followers. Oh no, you have, or do you have 170? No, you have 171,000. Kristen Neddens has 170,000. I wondered if you two are sort of keeping numbers, like.
Well, now that I didn't know what I had and I didn't know what she had, but now that I know that, there's no way that I'm not sending just a little voice note like, hey, how's it going? We haven't talked in a while, but probably because I have 1,000 more followers. Anyways, no. I think the followers thing is kind of a weird thing. Obviously, I mean, all jokes aside, I think we all know what that can do to our psyche. But the thing that I love about her is that she's like the proof is in the pudding kind of drummer, where like anytime you think, oh, I wonder if it's because of this or the cameras she has, or if you want to give any credit to anything other than her drumming, then she plays and you're like, never mind. It's because you're amazing.
Yeah, agreed. And
Yep.
she's so nice. Her voice I could listen to all day, but she knows that.
That's why I refuse to text her. It's only voice notes. Like, I need your response. And she always says, my favorite thing in the world, and I don't know if it's a German thing or a Kristen thing, but she always says, big hugs to Folsom. And I always just imagine her like coming to our small little town and putting her arms around our town and going, I'm going to hug you because big hugs to Folsom. So I always say, big hugs to Germany, because I don't know what town she lives in.
She lives in Hamburg. You gotta give it back to her.
Oh.
Big hugs to Hamburg.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I wanted to go straight into the business chat
Bring it.
because I know that you worked at a drum shop, but what I don't know is how you got from working in a drum shop and teaching loads of students to building the empire that is Mike's Lessons.
Wow.
Fill us in.
First of all, it kind of sounds like I sent you that question. Like, hey, would you mind asking me? And please use the word empire. Okay, well, let's backtrack. So definitely it wasn't something that was in the cards for sure. Even teaching, I thought I was going to be a school teacher. So that was the plan. I knew from a young age I wanted to be a teacher, but drum teaching was not, in my mind, I was never good enough to teach the drums. I was never good enough at the craft anyway. So it was never in my mind. And then I inherited my teaching job from a teacher that left the store that I was working at. And that was my first experience with private teaching and that world. And I just fell absolutely in love with it. Then as I got older, did the touring thing and left the teaching world for about 6 years, missed teaching nonstop. And so when I left the touring world and came back to teaching, I was really sure for a fact, like, okay, I'm going to take this entrepreneurial mindset that I have and apply it to drum teaching. So my real concept was drum schools. I wanted to have international drum schools in every country, in every state, and we called it the Drum Lab. And my wife and I started it, and we weren't even married yet. We were just engaged, and she got a business loan as a minority business owner because I couldn't do it, and uh, not just because I'm a stupid male, but because I'm a stupid male with a horrible credit score, or at least I was at that time. So she got the business loan, and we started our first business. And as that started to grow, I really thought, okay, this is literally my future. I just want to do this until I'm 100 years old and oversee the education that goes on in these schools. And then, I mean, most people kind of know a little bit of the story, but basically, I was just filming videos for those in-person students and putting it up on YouTube, which was a brand new website. So for me, YouTube was Dropbox. I just could film a video and say, I'm going to be out of town next week, but here's your lesson. And then but they were public because there was no way to make them private in 2005 and 2006. And then those videos started to kind of explode. And I just found it so odd. Like, why would anybody want to watch a drum lesson on their computer? Like, just go buy the DVD, buy the Thomas Lang DVD. You don't need to see me watch one, teach one little tiny lesson, especially when it was geared towards a very specific student. But as that kept going and I started to enjoy that process, that's when I just thought, okay, my personal reach will always cap out at 80 students a week. That was the most half-hour lessons I could do. Um, and so not only can I not ever make more money than what I was making unless I raise my prices, I truly can't reach more people. That's it. It'll always be 80 people a week. And that's working full time. So I was pretty exhausted. Loved it, but I was exhausted. And then this internet thing gave me the chance to be like, well, now I'm teaching people in South Africa, in Asia, all over America. And what I found most valuable was I'm teaching people. I don't know how your guys' hometowns work, but I live in a pretty, I wouldn't say heavily artistic town, but we have musicians. We have professional musicians that live here. I just thought everyone had access to drum lessons. You go to your local drum shop, there's a drum teacher. Well, I'm starting to hear, in 2005 and 2006 from people that live in villages, and they're like, we don't have a drum teacher within 200 miles. So you're now my drum teacher. And that's when it was like, oh my gosh, not only am I able to reach more people, but I'm able to reach people that literally don't have the option. Because that was my biggest fear as a private drum teacher. Like, well, I don't want to be an online drum teacher. Like, I want to be a drum teacher. I don't care what the medium is. I just want to do the craft. And then when I thought, oh, well, now I can finally teach people that aren't choosing between in-person lessons and online lessons, they have no access to drum education at all. Then it was like, okay, this is the time to sell the school, the drum lab, and then move into this online platform that we stupidly called mikeslessons.com. I wish I would have called it something that was a little more all inclusive so I could have more teachers, but I can only hire people named Mike. So
There are actually a lot of drummers called Mike, so
There
I
are.
know. It's
Surprisingly.
going to be
worse.
fine. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, could have been-
Unfortunately, all the mics have like their own stuff. I asked Dolbear, he was like, "Dude, I'm good. I've got my own thing." I'm like, "All right, fine."
So when you launched Mike's Lessons, was it exclusively online at that point then?
Yeah, 100%. But it was, I would say that the most analogous thing at the time was iTunes. So, because that was my idea, or that's what generated the idea to do it in the first place. It wasn't something that I came up with. It was seeing Steve Jobs take an album or a CD and break it up into songs for 99 cents a song. That's what I was like, okay, I'm going to do that for DVDs, because DVDs at the time were like $45 to $50. And I remember specifically with like, there was a Rod Morgenstein videotape. There was the first Thomas Lang double disc thing. I just remember thinking like, I couldn't get through this in a lifetime. I could watch the first Thomas Lang one right now and be like, no, still can't do half of that stuff. So I just thought, what if I could offer this stuff in bite-sized chunks? Like, what if at that time, the Dave Weckels, the Thomas Langs, the Virgil Donatis allowed me to buy one exercise? because that's maybe all I could handle for the month from people of that level. So that was kind of the idea, was like break it up. So there were no courses, um, there wasn't even a membership fee. It was just a la carte, 99 cents per drum lesson, and that was it.
Ooh, and sorry, Gemma, I'm going rogue
It's all good.
already. We're only 5 minutes in.
I'm going rogue. Yes.
Ah, so how did you get the people who'd been watching you on YouTube? I'm assuming you collected email addresses then. Or how did you tell them, hey guys,
Uh-huh.
I've got the Mike's lessons now, buy the stuff?
Yeah, so it's such a different world now. And that's why I can be so open about what I did, because it wouldn't work now. So I'm not giving away the secret sauce. It's like you couldn't do it the way, there was no such thing as a YouTuber in 2005 and 2006, all the way to like maybe 2010. There was no monetization. So no one was worried about, how are you making money? Are you getting paid for these videos? You couldn't have been paid. It was just an open platform. So I really could just look down the barrel of the lens and be like, hey guys, Mike here. So I started a website and you should totally check it out. And that was a YouTube video all by itself, like 8 seconds long. And then all of a sudden, my wife and I would look at the sheet, or the website that we were, I think at the time we were just getting transactions through PayPal. And we were like, we just made $12 today.
Ah,
Spend wisely. Let's go. Let's have some fun. And then we made $20 and made $30. And then the one thing that was really important, because we still had the school at the time, I was still teaching privately. Financially, we were allowed to fail, and we were allowed to grow slowly, which I think is the biggest mistake I see now with people that are like, okay, so I'm going to buy five, Sony FX3s and these lenses and all these lights and all this stuff. And I'm like, nobody knows who you are yet. You're not it, let them grow with you. Let them see you on your camera or on your cell phone, and then eventually one day you're on a DSLR or a mirrorless, and then one day you've got a key light and a backlight, and then one day you've literally got like whatever those light up signs are that you have. Like, yeah, that's kind of part of the process, is like people watching you grow your brand and people rooting for you, just like they would with a local band that eventually gets a record deal. So yeah, so it was really just honestly word of mouth, and just saying like, well, the other thing too is I had no competition. No one existed yet. So it wasn't like saying, hey, like, check me out over these other 10 people. It was like, would you like to learn drums on your computer? I have a platform for that.
I think it probably was like 13 years ago at Minor Drum Fest where I met you and Amber for the first time, actually. And was that one of your first big drum festivals? Is
That
that
was the
right?
first drum festival.
Okay. So if
Do
you
you
could
guys have the
go,
term bricking it? Is
yeah.
that your term? Yeah, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could go back and tell yourself something, what would you say?
Oh, um, it's so funny. I wish I could say, hey, take it easy. This doesn't matter as much as you think it does. But I think I would actually tell myself the complete opposite. This matters more than you think it does. You have no idea what this is going to do for you. Like, the second I got off that stage, people from the Tam Tam Drum Show came up to me, people from in Spain, people like probably 10 different people that run festivals that I didn't know were in the crowd, were all in the crowd. And they said, oh, now that you've done this and you've proven that you can handle yourself on stage for 45 minutes, can you do our festival? So that literally launched my career as an in-person global educator, where everything up until that point was all online. I was an in-person private educator, but the thing that no one can tell you is how to crack the code of, so how do you get into drum festivals and drum clinics? And it's like, you kind of, there's no way to do it. You just eventually do it, and then people say, would you like to do another one? And then as soon as you've done three or four, you're literally in the mix of maybe 20 men and women that get the opportunity to do that, and then you're just in the mix. And so when somebody's making a drum festival, they go and ask their top 10, and if number 10 can't do it, then you might be in that mix of other people that are like, oh, well, let's see if Mike is available to do it, depending on travel and all that kind of stuff. So I would have told myself it's a massive deal. But two, I would have told myself, stop watching Keith Carlock so much. When I watch that video, it's so hilarious. I'm like, ding baka ticka jigga baka to bang, ticka jaka ticka baka ticka baka to go. And it's so Keith Carlock. I don't remember being that obsessed with him, but it's clear in those videos that I was way into Keith. So I wasn't quite I would say I wasn't quite my own artist yet. I was still very much so modeling my drumming after my heroes.
Well, that's definitely not a bad thing, is it? Being influenced by Keith Carlock is.
I could have picked worse.
So where you said you felt you were bricking it,
Yeah.
how long has that feeling gone on for you before performances? Do you still have that now, or when did it
Oh.
change?
Yeah, so I think you'll always have that. The only thing that changes is how you handle it, right? So the circumstances in everyday life will always be the same, but how you react to them is the only thing that can evolve. And so all that's evolved is I've realized that without that feeling, without those nerves, I actually can't achieve my best. So if I'm not filled with nerves, if I'm not filled with excitement, I just can't reach that peak. I would say this though, my drumming will always be where it is. I've never had any moment that made my drumming better or made it worse. Like I really can't think of anything where I just thought, wow, I really played terrible today, or man, I played so good. Like what socks was I wearing? I got to wear those again. I've That's never changed. It's everything other than the drumming that changes. Like who am I on stage once I grab that microphone? Am I inspiring people? Am I empathetic? There have been times where I just did what I was going to do no matter what. And those are the ones I'm least proud of. And then there's times where I had a plan. And the second I caught three or four eye contact moments from people, I was like, oh my God, my plan is not going to work. These people don't want to be amped up. You know, you come out like Tony Robbins, and you're just like, hey, is everybody ready to drum? And, and they're like, kinda. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like I used to just plow through, like, well, we're gonna get ready to drum. And now it's like, oh, well, maybe we're just ready to like think about why we're doing this, or maybe we're ready to realize how this is connected to music and our artistic soul. Or sometimes I come out thinking like, hey guys, do you ever think how beautiful music is? And everybody's like, screw it, go fast. And I'm like, okay, never mind. I was just kidding. Woo. So I would say I'm more flexible now, but the thing that's changed is that the nerves are a necessary part of getting to the point where you want to go. So if I don't have them, I'd be really worried. I think also too, we have to kind of get rid of the term nervous and realize that being filled with nerves is not the same as being scared. I want all of my fingers and my body and my skin to be tingling with nerves. That's way different than being scared. And fear comes from knowing you didn't prepare enough, at least in our world. Like you're only scared because you know you didn't put in the work and you're hoping you're going to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. I have had plenty of those moments. And then I've had moments where all the confidence, it didn't come from my drumming. It came from the 6 months of practice leading up to the moment, knowing I couldn't have done more. So whatever this is going to be is what it's going to be, but it will not suck and it will not be amazing. It'll be exactly what it's going to be based off of the amount of hours I put into this. I'm getting fired up. I'm gonna,
Bring
I'm gonna
it.
go, I'm gonna go practice. Okay. Go ahead.
I can't. We can't practice now. People will get yelled at.
We
We'll get
shan't.
yelled at. Yeah, yeah. I want to just go back to Mike's lessons for a minute. It's so interesting that Amber like got the loan for you to do drum lab, right?
Yep.
So then, when you formed Mike's lessons, did she have a job role there straight away, or was it just when it went crazy, you know, empire?
Yeah. There's got to be a different word. How
Soz.
about yeah. Let's call it when it went full on A for effort. Like,
Yeah.
all right, nice A for effort. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we had the drum lab, and the whole time she had a job, and she would obviously help me with the drum lab because I'm not good at. I mean, we had payroll, like I had employees, we had to have you know insurance and just things that I'm not cut out for. So she definitely helped with that, but she also had, for the most part, a full time job as she worked at an insurance agency, and then eventually uh, oddly enough, I think she'll be okay with me telling this story, but There was a job that she really, really wanted. That I think it's called a court reporter. It's not the person that types in the court. In America, she wanted the job where basically for our juvenile system, if somebody, gets arrested, their court hearing doesn't have a jury. So they're basically what happens is somebody gets assigned to their case, like a private investigator, to investigate the case and recommend to the judge, should we put this 15-year-old boy or girl in jail? Like, or should they be let go? Is it just a good kid on a bad night, or is this somebody that needs real correctional help? So she wanted that job. Well, the only way to get that job is you have to be a prison guard for 2 years so that you know where you're sending these kids. So they need you to work in that system. So the last 2 years of the drum lab, she did that. She was a prison guard. And
Whoa.
it was, I don't know if Jem, I know you've met Amber, but she's
Yeah, but
not like a beast.
I never knew that about her.
She is a petite, very pretty girl.
I
And
wouldn't mess with her. She definitely has
no,
she's got a very good presence. Like,
yeah, I can just tell you guys all now, if you're ever arguing with her, tuck your thumbs in because she has a lot of thumb holds that like she bends your thumb and she just puts on. So if we're ever arguing, I just slowly tuck my thumbs into my fist and just kind of cower into the corner. But anyways, she's very sweet and very kind. But so anyway, so she had to go through that to get the job she wanted, and that was a tough time for us. Of like, she would work nights. That gave her the best chance to not have hands on. That's what they call it when you have to like actually touch an inmate, subdue them. Because when you subdue an inmate, it could be 2 minutes before the actual guards get there, like a whole team. So a lot can happen in that time. So it was like kind of a sketchy time, but I just thought, oddly enough, you've supported me in my dreams. And if your dream is to, if we have to go through this to get there, I support you. So long story short, that's what she was doing. And then in 2006, our economy kind of collapsed and they stopped promoting prison guards into that job. So now all of a sudden she is just a correctional officer and that's it. And that's not what she wanted, obviously. And that was the time that Mike's lessons started to get to a point that I couldn't handle the amount of emails, the signups, the cancellations, the admin. And so her income from that job was probably about exactly the same as what I would have paid somebody to work for me. But no one that I've ever met in the world cares more about customer service than Amber Johnston. Like, she cares. So we cannot go to dinner without talking to a manager, good or bad. We're going to talk to a manager. Like, she wants the whole restaurant to know, like, that server did a great job and you need to celebrate her and she's amazing. And so I just thought, well, who better to work for our business and be the face of our business than her? And so that's kind of it basically just transitioned. So probably 2007, 2008 was when she went full time for Mike'sLessons.com and took that whole thing over. And literally, there's no way I could even be here in this A for effort company without her, because I only have to think about drums. That's it. Everything else, all the campers coming into drum camp and their flights and their reservations and her scheduling my flights for the UK drum show. Like, all I do is drum because she does everything else. So she's kind of the hero of the business, but she also has zero. If you try to find her on social media, it's tough. She couldn't care less about that world. She doesn't like social media. She doesn't need any public, applause, but she definitely deserves them.
you've worked together for such a long time now, and it seems like
Yeah.
it's worked really well. Is there sort of a conflict between home and work life ever, or how do you set boundaries to make sure that it doesn't bleed into one another?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we all go through, especially when you're technically self-employed, because you're not going away to work. Your work's always with you. And for people that are considering this as a career path, just heads up, you work 7 days a week. That's it. It never ever stops. And you have to find ways to pull the plug on it and say, okay, this is like, I just need a mental break and I can't bring this into the family. So basically, we have work hours. Even though I'm at the studio, she's usually at home. She's doing all of her emails from home. I'm filming stuff here. She just knows that she can call me at any point in the day and say, hey, we have a student that, like, we have a lot of onboarding calls that I have to do. So a student signs up for Mike'sLessons.com and it's a lot. Like any online education platform, you go to Khan Academy, you think you're going to learn about astrophysics, and all of a sudden you're taking a cooking class. And you're like, what happened? How did I get so lost? And so yeah, so she'll kind of hit me up and say, hey, at noon you have an onboarding call with this new student to walk them through the website. And so we do all that until about from I would say 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we have like a 12-hour working window. And then at 6 p.m. when I get home, I live about 2 miles from the studio, so I get home in time for dinner. I never take my phone out of my car. It doesn't make its way into the house until it's time to charge it for the night. And then that's it. And we just don't really talk about it at all until the next day. And it's just put everything we have into Finn, our dog, and we just rub on him. And then if we happen to have a foster dog with us at the time, we rub on him or her. And we have a little tiny backyard that's very private, or a garden that's very private. And we just sit out there and watch the dogs run around. And yeah, we just try our best not to talk about business.
So I wanted to ask, in terms of like, you seem to have a very business mind. Does Amber have that as well? Like, does she ever bring ideas to the table? Or are you like the business mind person saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that?
Yeah, so that's another place that it works perfect. She has almost no entrepreneurial mind, which is amazing because we can't have two of us. I can't be like, what if we did this? And she's like, it would be great if we did. And then we never do anything because we're always on to the next idea.
Yeah.
So she has none of that, but she has so much almost like customer street smarts. I tell her what we're going to do, and she instantly knows how the common human is going to react to it. Where I'm always seeing it from my perspective of like, yeah, but when I was 7, if Vinny Colaiuta would have done this for me, it would have meant so much. And she's like, yeah, like, so how many people are obsessed with drums as you? And I'm like, 11 in the world, And she's like, okay, well, let's think about somebody that has a family. Let's think about somebody that has 20 minutes to practice every 4 days. Like, she's always practical. And so she balances out my dream world with practicality. And it's just the best. Our food is exactly the same too. I can't stand olives or mushrooms. She takes them off my pizza, puts them on hers. She's happy as a clam. I don't understand why you guys call rocket arugula, but I hate that stuff too. She loves it. It gets put in my food. She takes it. It's just heaven. It's just heaven. So I would say that the way we treat our food, that's exactly how the business goes. Like the things that just drive me crazy or I would just ignore, she actually really likes that stuff. But yeah, when it comes to the actual, like, here's a new idea, the feed, when we tried to launch, like, we're going to recreate social media from the ground up. I I just don't even know what it would have been without her because she's so practical and couldn't care less about followers or anything. So everything she said, I was like, God, I never would have thought of that. I'm only dreaming in the clouds, and she's the reality. So
And so, in terms of like career goals, or if she's like really aware of how many signups and stuff,
mhm.
does she then have any goals for the business, or is she like care less in a sense as long as you're happy?
That's basically it. Yeah. So we have, because I emotionally couldn't handle the reality of a business where you have subscribers. Like if you have customers, they come and buy something, you wave, and that's it. When I was, with the matcha business, it's like they bought matcha and that was it. And it was like, great, have a good day. With this, somebody subscribed, and then one day they unsubscribed, and that just wrecked me. Like, why would I don't what did I do? What did I do? Does my drumming suck? And they're like, dude, I've been with you for 2 years. I'm good. Like, I have enough to practice. Or honestly, I'm just kind of bored of your voice, whatever it is. No matter what it was, I was like, oh, no, I did something wrong. So we learned early on I couldn't emotionally handle the signups and the cancellations. So we moved that to her for a while. And then basically what we ended up doing is we had my developer, Brad, build me when I log into mikeslessons.com in the back end, the only thing I can see is a percentage of growth or a percentage of decline. So it'll say over the past 30 days, you've grown 2% or 3%, or you've lost 4%. And that's all I can see. I have no idea how many subscribers we have. I have no idea how much money we make. Amber has me on an allowance on the 1st and the 15th. So personal money, I get nothing from mikeslessons.com. Like I just get what I get. And if you're ever out to lunch with me and I say, "Oh, I'll get it," and I swipe my card and I look kind of nervous, there's a good chance they're going to say, "Sorry, sir, that didn't go through." So,
Have to remember to catch you on the 1st or the 15th of
yes,
every month, just
I
for
am a
people's info.
baller until the 3rd and until the 18th. Yes. After that, I'm back to being broke. So all of those things are part of the marriage as well of like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm stressed out because of this thing of like, or I'm too elated. Oh, we got 100 students today. Like we're doing amazing. Okay, well, are we doing any better than we were yesterday? No, we're the same people. So why is my mood better just because of that? And then why is my mood down because we lost 50 students? So I had to take that away. And she was a big part of that. Like she's like, what if you just didn't know? So now, as far as her goals are that the business grows constantly and it does its job, which is to make people better at the drums. So she is always asking like what are you working on and why are you working on it? Who's it going to help? And instead of because in the early days of mikeslessons.com when I could see the sales, if I put out linear show off chops and it sold a lot, then you can guarantee the next thing that was coming out was linear show off chops 2 because I thought, oh, well, it sold well. The problem was eventually those people came to camp and they had some chops. But as soon as I was like, I don't know, it's the verse. What if we just grooved for a bit? They're like, no, I was grooving. And I was like, oh, Shiza, I did this to you. Like I messed this whole thing up. So that's when I learned like, okay, I need to do what's right for education and for growing people as well-rounded drummers, but I can't let the sales drive the content. And she's been a help with that too.
Okay, we have reached the most important part of the whole episode, which is the section about dogs.
Yes.
Come
So,
on.
we wanted to know, being so busy, like when and why and how did you decide to rehome dogs?
Oh, okay. So back to Amber, the Amber podcast. So she was deathly afraid of dogs when we met. She had been bitten in the face when she was young, and that just instilled a fear of dogs. And I was a dog person, always had dogs. I'm an only child, so those were like my siblings were dogs. Um, and so it was getting kind of tense for a while of like, oh my gosh, we're about to get married, and she's saying we just can't have a dog. And I her fear is very real. She got bit in the face. I get it, but I just couldn't imagine my life without dogs. So I tried one last ditch effort, probably in the first year that we were married, and I brought home a puppy Weimaraner. They're just little gray dogs with blue eyes, and so I had a puppy. I was laying on the couch waiting for her to come home from her prison guard shift. And she walked in the door, and this puppy was asleep on my chest and just kind of opened his eyes and looked at her right in the eyes. And I just saw it. I saw the two of them fall in love. And I was like, yes. And she just started crying and she's like, what is that? And I was like, this is a puppy. These are the dogs before they become dogs. It's like the baby world of dogs. And that was it. She was hooked. And then so as time went on, she would just kind of because we have free time and she would be like, hey, do you mind if we foster a dog? Do you mind if she does a ton of transporting, so a dog will come in or needs a transport from maybe a shelter to a foster home, but maybe the foster home can't make that drive, it's too far of a distance, so she'll go maybe even down to LA, which is like 7 hours. She'll drive down to LA, pick up the dog, and then get it to its new foster home. So she's doing that constantly. And then because I have a decent social media reach, like at least 1,000 more than Kristen Neddens, then I hope she doesn't hear that. Because then she'll challenge me to like a foot speed off and she'll just destroy me. But is that a thing? Foot speed offs? Does
It
that
is
happen?
now.
Okay. Great. Kristen, just to be clear, I do not want to foot speed off with you. You win. But yeah, so because I have the social media reach, it was just easy to say like, okay, we're helping this dog try to find a home. And then as social media went on, that was the only thing that Amber ever cared about with social media was she started following all these dog rescue places from Puerto Rico and from all around the country. And now we just work with probably like 4 or 5 different rescue outfits and we offer any help we can. So sometimes you'll never see it publicly, but a lot of times I'll go to the home of a foster dog and then I'll do a photo shoot for the dog and then I give all of that content to the foster or to the foster care people that then can use it. Because a lot of times these people have the best hearts in the world, but they just don't know how to capture content. And so they have these like jittery iPhone pictures and they're like, adopt Sophie. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, give Sophie a chance. Like, let me get her in some good lighting. So I'll take my cameras and do that kind of stuff. And I think that that's also what gives Amber and I a bit of a break from this 7 day a week job is like, I mean, I would love to say that it's as charitable as like, oh, we got to give back. But the truth is, we would do it we would just do it. Like, we love dogs. We chose very early on in our relationship before we were married to not have kids. So when dogs came along, it was pretty obvious that we were going to put all of our money, all of our charitable contributions into dogs.
I have some practical questions about it. Like when you're rehoming dogs, do you have dogs at home with you as well then for
Yeah.
periods of time? And how do you deal with that with your own dogs? Like, do they find it stressful? Like, is there something that you do for your own dogs to kind of minimize the impact?
It so depends. So Juno, our female Weimaraner, that we had for 12 years, she was a basically between her and Han. Han was Jim Carrey and she was Mariah Carey. Like, she was a diva and she just could not care less. So she didn't like dislike dogs, but she just didn't care. It was like, just leave me alone and let me sleep. And then Han, our Jim Carrey, was just a comedian, and he was like, hey, I'm Han Johnston. I used to be blind, but now I can see. And he'd just shake everybody's hands with his paw, and he was the best. So a lot of times it's bringing a dog into that situation so that we can then tell future adoptees, like, this dog does well with dogs or it doesn't do well with dogs. We have two very different temperaments to almost test the dog out with. I would say when you've got a dog for less than a month, the other dogs do pretty well with the separation when it's over. We had Coco, the most recent one. We had him for like maybe a week and then found him a foster home. And then it didn't work out with his foster home. And then we got him back and we had him for like a month. And then he just found his permanent home like a week ago. And, and yeah, like our dog will take, it takes about 2 or 3 days that they're sniffing in the backyard, but it's not quite the same as a loss. Like when you lose another dog. I think it's great, because that's the other thing too, is I don't, just like the way the three of us are obsessed with drums, or it's been part of our lives forever. I don't think all dog owners are fully obsessed with dogs. So it's really important that Amber and I find out everything we can to tell this new potential owner, like, heads up, there's some serious separation anxiety here. If you work from home, this is going to be your best friend in the world. But if you work 8 hours a day and leave this dog home alone in an apartment, it's not going to work. So that's kind of our job as fosters, is to find that out. And then we also do home inspections. So for people that want to eventually foster dogs, Amber and I will go to their homes, and then we can tell the charities, honestly, like, no, this person is not. They've got 3 kids, 2 cats. They lied on their application. They said they had one dog. They have 4. They have no backyard, and so, or we'll say this is a perfect foster home. So we're always doing something in that world, but yeah, it's pretty chaotic.
How do you deal with it when the dog does get rehomed? You're obviously happy that they find a home, but that would destroy me. What do you do?
It depends. So sometimes that's what's called a foster fail, is when it was supposed to be a foster and now it's Finn, and Finn was a foster that just lives with us now. Han was a foster, Merrick was a foster, Juno
You
was
guys suck at
I,
terrible.
we're pretty bad.
No,
Well, the other thing that
joking.
is even worse is, I would say 80% of the dogs we've found homes for are within a 10-mile radius of our house. It's all neighbors that, like, we would just walk the dog and they're like, oh, new dog. We're like, no, it's actually a foster. Are you interested? And then so we get to go to all the neighbors' houses with Finn and be like, oh, well, let's play with this dog and this dog. So that's pretty great. But yeah, I mean, it is, the giving up thing is really hard. But that, honestly, the one thing that makes it work is knowing that the people that it's going to are it's the right home. So that's why we have to, it sucks. Like, I would assume for these people, they're like, what do you mean you're auditioning me? I've said I'm willing to take the dog. And it's like, yeah, that's not good enough. Like, we need to know this is the right home for this dog. Um, so yeah, so we'll meet them at a park somewhere and be like, they think they're checking out the dog, but Amber and I are being very judgmental. We're like, your car's not big enough for that dog. You need a small breed dog. So honestly, though, 9 times out of 10, it's always amazing, and you just meet incredible people that are like just at that perfect point that they need a dog in their lives. But Gemma, it's tough. There's no shortage of tears in the house when we have to say goodbye.
I think it's great you do it. I admire you. I definitely could not.
I'll tell you right now, the hospice ones are the toughest. So we bring in dogs that are on their way out, and we're just saying like, stop moving this dog around, give it to us, and we'll take it to the end. We have a service that comes to our house, so the dog is put down in our home on our couch. Yeah, it's I can only go so far without tearing up, but that's tough. But the only thing that would be tougher is thinking of that dog being moved from like shelter to shelter to shelter on the last 4 months of its life. So the hospice ones are tough, but it's still like, you know, you're doing a good deed, and it's worse if you don't do it. So and also too, like, I mean, we have to like be honest with like the reality is Amber and I are very lucky. She works from home. I work 2 miles from home, and there's no one here. Like, I'm in charge of my own schedule. So and I don't have a boss that says no dogs at work. I mean, you guys have seen enough videos to know that my dogs are always here at the studio. So we're very fortunate to have the flexibility to be able to help in that way. It's not just being willing to do it. A lot of people are willing to do it. A lot of people are financially free enough to do it, but their lives don't provide that amount of freedom that we have. Happy times.
Now I want to move on to
Okay.
drum camps and
Oh.
people copying you. So I'm going to hold my hand up because I remember I reached out to you when I wanted to do drum camps because I was like, shit, he's going to think I'm copying him. And I feel like there's a blurry line there with being inspired by someone and influenced and then outright copying. And I
Sure.
feel like someone
Agreed.
like you must have been copied a lot. And I wondered how that is for you and what you've learned from that.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I don't think you and I would still have the friendship that we have, which I would say is, you know, very, very flowing and casual as far as like, I feel like we talk to each other about our careers, we talk to each other about our lives, and we wouldn't have that friendship if I felt that you ever copied me. The camp is nothing to be copied because there were sports camps before there were, you know, I mean, I grew up going to jazz camps. So all we've done is niched that into our drum world because we happen to play the one instrument that allows for it, where a lot of other instruments, for whatever reason, the community just isn't quite there in the same way it is for the drums. So to me, the camp isn't the thing that can be copied. It's how you approach the camp. And I remember seeing the clips from your first few camps and thinking, that has nothing to do with me. Like, she is taking this thing and doing her own thing with it, and then I get to be the cheerleader of that. Like, this is awesome. Now this is actually it's an attribute to what I'm trying to do, because if what I'm trying to do doesn't work for everybody, I need to have 5 or 6 other options for them, and to know that you're one of those options is great. I also felt really weird, you know, we were doing ladies only camps for the first 6 or 7 years of the camps, and I always felt weird not being the example of what they could achieve. Like, how can I stand in front of a group of women and say, you guys can do anything you want in this industry, but I'm not the example of it. So I needed someone else to do it. And it wasn't until social media brought all these amazing female drummers into the light that people realized, like, oh, we're finally done with good for a girl or good player. Like, she's my favorite female drummer. Like, once we started having people say she's my favorite drummer and they stopped talking, then I was like, okay, we finally arrived at where we needed to be with this. And when I saw what you were doing, I just thought, like, yeah, that's the natural evolution of this thing. So I'd never felt that way at all. And I still don't. I still see what you're doing. And now, if anything, you're so established doing it, I have to be careful and be like, okay, do not put a bow around your book. That is Kira's thing. Like,
No,
don't, and okay, but like,
I,
honestly,
but
that's
no,
all
it's
jokes
fine.
aside, that's very real to me. That's part of your branding. And if I saw someone else put a bow around their book, I'd be like, why would you, you stole that from Kira? Like if people are like, hey, just there at camp giving out matcha, I'd be like, dog, you're so lazy. That's so lazy. Give out coffee beans or something.
Yes.
So I think that that's all I'm ever looking for in others is were you influenced or are you a thief?
Mhm.
Um, I was highly influenced by Steve Jobs and iTunes, but I didn't do it with music. I did it in my own way. Um, my camps were highly influenced. I would say not from my camp experience as a kid going to jazz camps, but more from like seeing what Kobe Bryant was doing with basketball, what, the Neymars of the world were doing with football or soccer. Like, okay, so this camp is now built around a person, not around a thing. How do I make that work? So anyways, as far as just seeing that over the years, it's tough because, and I don't know how you feel about this or either of you, especially Gemma with your writing in the past and everything, but sometimes when someone copies you, the fear we have is that others will see that first and then think I copied them. And that's my fear is like, come on, man, like I worked really hard on the IP of this thing, whether it's sessions or, I mean, the feed. It's like that's a Facebook group. The difference is I built it from, well, let's slow down on that. My developer and I built it from scratch, very specifically geared towards drummers. So as soon as somebody puts that into their site and then calls it something similar like the hella feed, I'm like, man, that's lazy. Like you have to take the thing that you got just like we do on the drums. Like, oh, I saw Tony Royster play this thing. I don't transcribe it. I take the feeling that Tony gave me and I run to the kit and I try to make my own thing that accomplishes that feeling, but I'm not going to transcribe the thing because that's like, well, then I'm just plagiarizing it. So I would say the one thing I have learned to do though is to emotionally detach from it. And I have kind of two piles of like, I either care about you, and if I care about you, I'm all in. I will do anything to help you. I will call you, if you need help at 2 in the morning, whatever you need. And then I don't care. And the I don't care, it needs to be indifferent. Like I can't allow any negativity to go to that place. It just has to be like, oh man, that sucks. Like you burn that bridge of trust, but now you're not my enemy. Now you're just in an I don't care pile. And luckily in our industry, there's so few people in that side of my brain, and there's so many more people in the JP Bouvets of the world where it's like, dude, you teach drum lessons. I would do anything to help you reach more people because you're brilliant. You, Juan Mendoza, whoever. Like, there's so many people we can think about where it's like, I know you're doing this for the right reasons. That's how I became so close with Eddie Thrower. Was like, I watched him and I was like, okay, how could I say he copied me? He's sitting on a couch playing on cushions and cussing in a British accent. This dude has no influence from me whatsoever. So yeah, so I think that those are the things where I look at people and I just think, okay, stop. You shouldn't have stolen the matcha. You should have stolen the idea that you need something to care about as much as I care about matcha. Uh, you know, um, I used to bait people into just to show my companies like, hey, just so you know, like this is not okay. And so I would post a very specific picture. This is early Instagram days. And we would just count down the minutes until that person would post a replica of that picture. And I'd be like, this isn't healthy. Like this isn't the way to do this. So if I post a picture of my favorite snare drum, it should trigger you to be like, oh my God, I do love my gear. You know what? I've had that same hi-hat clutch since my dad gave it to me before he passed. I'm going to post a thing about my hi-hat clutch. And it's like, cool. Now you took it to your own level and now it's its own thing. So I hope that kind of explains it.
Totally. Did it ever, I don't know, make you a bit apprehensive before posting a new thing, like a new idea? Like, shit, someone gonna copy it? Or, did it change your
Yes.
relationship with how you posted?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the worst promoter of my own business because I'm so scared that as soon as I put it out there, I'm like, ugh. Like honestly, I hate to say it, but we have spies on the website. Like they don't even change the email address. So it's like I know like who John at property.com is. It's like, dude, Just change your email address. Just get it like a new Gmail account. So it's like, uh, but I think at some point you just have to realize I can waste my time on this, or I can just put my head down and do the work. And you know, the things that I still think are breakthrough, when I zoom out, it's like they're actually really logical. It's just our industry isn't the quickest industry to adapt to changes. So I remember having like in 2007 or 8 having my photographer who had just moved here from Russia, and I became friends with him, and he was a brilliant photographer. Anyways, he came to the studio for the very first time, sat down on our couch and opened Modern Drummer magazine, and he like just showed me like a full page ad, and he was like, "Why is this in black and white?" By the way, it's not a Russian accent. It's not even a German accent. I don't know what that was, but I was like, I don't know. And he was like, "This makes no sense. Why? I don't understand. It's 2006. Why are they shooting in black and white? Like this isn't an artistic choice. They literally didn't want to pay for a color ad." And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, "This is so antiquated." And I just thought like, okay, so our industry sometimes is a little slow to change, slow to growth. And so I think that the things that I do that people are going to rip off, really, I just got to that idea first sometimes, but that idea probably already existed, you know? I mean, sessions, the easiest way to think about it is like, I just needed to build accountability into Mike'sLessons.com. Online
Mm.
education generally has no accountability at a scalable level. So you can be accountable with 100 students or 1,000 or maybe 500 students. You can't have accountability with thousands of students. And I was like, well, how do I scale that but still make it personal, not use AI, not use bots? And that's what sessions was. But when someone else calls it recordings, I'll be like, it's fine. Like if you want to sit there and review these things like I do all day, that's fine. I'm not going to stop you.
I wonder about that actually. Isn't there going to be a cap at some point where you're like, "Yeah, I actually have no time left"?
It's pretty close to there
Yeah.
right now. We have talked about like stopping signups for specific amounts of times. Like, all right, turn off the tap for 6 months, allow some people to fade out, then bring in, maybe 400 or 500 new people or whatever. Um, but it's like a gym membership. If everyone on Mike'sLessons.com took advantage of sessions, no, I would have to hire an entire staff to review those videos all day long. It's just like if everyone that had a gym membership showed up at the gym would shut down. They couldn't
Yeah.
handle it. So and the other thing too is in the beginning, sessions was crazy because most of our students could do session one, which is a song, session two, session three, session four. Well, now there's thousands of drummers that have hit their cap where they're only able to do one session every 2 weeks because they literally have to learn the drumming to do it. So it's slowed down. The first year was pretty tough. I was doing well over 100 reviews a day.
Oh my God.
And I mean, just to be very transparent, I don't have to watch the entire song. Like I've seen these songs thousands of times, so I know where you're going to mess up. I know where I can if you did the first verse good, you're not going to mess up the second verse, Like I'm looking for kick consistency, things like that. But then it's like, okay, at 3 minutes and 12 seconds, the left foot comes in with eighth notes. If they're going to mess anything up, it's going to be that. Or a good example is in session 3, they have to play a eighth note pattern on the ride, but the bell is in the quarter notes. So I'll skip to that, and it's like, oh, you're doing it right, but you reversed it. You've put the bell on the upbeats,
Mm.
so I have to fail you for that. So it's not like I'm watching a 4-minute song 100 times a day.
Right.
I can get through each song pretty in about a minute to 90 seconds. So, but it's still, I mean, I have to go through all of it, and then I try to always type something about their room, like, "Hey Gemma, looks like we get along great because you've got the plants and you have the nice clean white walls." So it's like something to
Mhm.
let you know this is not AI. I did this. I did watch this, and and I wish we were roommates and we could hang out and decorate things together.
I did want to ask you about that. Sorry to cut in, Kira, but when you're going through that much content per day, how
Sure.
do you keep it like human and that you don't just get bored by it?
I honestly like if we think about I don't know. There's no way to not sound like a complete dick, but like I was I no. I don't want to say it, but I know that if I don't say it, it's like it's unreal. But like this is what I was born to do. Like that's it. I never see it as a job. I like imagine running a business for, I guess, until we launched sessions in 2023. So imagine running a business for, 13 to 15 years and never knowing if it worked. You have an educational platform and you don't know if it works because no one submits, you don't see anything. It's like, I don't know, they just have access to all this educational content, but I don't get to see them do it in practice. So to finally on a daily basis be like, I remember session 1 with this person, she could barely play that. Now she's on session 11. She's changed her lighting. She's got like a mirrorless camera with depth of field. Like not only is she growing as a player, but like she could make legit social media content now all through this process. So like that's kind of course, there's days you're tired, but then you open it up and I see like my list of like, okay, I got to get through these. I hit the first video and then you just see like some 8-year-old that's like, hey Mike, I don't have a cowbell, so I hung up this plate and I'm just gonna hit that for the cowbell section. And I'm like, we're good, dude. I could do this all day long.
Have you ever felt like earning money from drums can take the passion away from drumming?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest things that I tell all of my students that are trying to become professional drummers. Like I always say, like, hey, just be careful. Like the one of the only ways to make a living from an art form is to do things with that art form that you actually don't want to do, and then you can resent the thing. So let's say that in Sacramento, California, if I wanted to make a living playing the drums, not teaching, but only playing, my only option would be cover bands or function bands. That's it. That's the only way I could make maybe $300 to $500 per gig, do that 3 or 4 times a week, and try to make a living. I am so not the cover person. Like I don't enjoy playing other people's drum parts. I I just constantly want to take the drums out of every song and be like, "Oh, what would I do here?" So that would make me fall out of love with the drums for sure. And that's why I think it's important when you're 18 to like say 26 or so that you get a chance to go into a studio, even if you book the studio yourself for your local band, you should go into a studio, put headphones on, have a producer in the control room, say, "All right, here we go. Have fun." And then you track to a click and you will know right away, is this for you or not? Like I can promise you it's not for me. Like I know for a fact. I did it like 100 times and every time I was like, I thought this would get easier. I don't want to be here right now. And then I would hear about somebody that's my same age like Josh Freeze being like, man, I just can't wait to do it again. I'm like, okay, so we are different. That's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm worse. It just means that we're different. I would assume if Josh Freeze heard an interview about me teaching, he'd be like, that dude is out of his mind. That sounds horrible. I just want to tour and track. So I think if you get the chance to play live, to record, to do the tiniest tour, even if you book it for yourself, just to find out what van and trailer life is like and some hotel life, get a chance to teach a couple students. Like you just have to find the thing that resonates with your soul. And then, no, then I don't ever get sick of it and I don't resent it in any way. But I'm also in a really fortunate position. Like I said, I don't know what I'd do if I had to start doing this right now. I was able to grow this at a pace that worked with mine and Amber's life, apartment, 2 crappy cars, very low insurance. And it's like, well, we don't need to make a lot of money. We just need to live. And then it kept going and going and going. And it was all very natural. But if I had to be 48 now and just be like, okay, you need to make a living off this instrument, it's like, oh, that's a whole different thing, man.
You're always very modest about numbers,
Okay.
but are you able to tell us just how big the community is?
Yes. We have 280. No, I have no idea.
Oh my
Every
gosh.
time I've asked you, you always say, "Oh, I don't know. Amber's the
I
one that knows the numbers. I don't know anything." But
it's
you
it's
must have some idea. Come on.
I yeah, I mean I think you're you're turning red. You're weird. Um
I just know that I've asked you this question like, I don't know,
yeah.
four
I
times over
I think
13
the
years.
reason I've always dodged it is because it went bad for me once where like I was doing a clinic with somebody that I really really looked up to or a drum festival, excuse me. And he asked me like, "Hey, how many students do you have?" And this is early on in Mike's lessons time, and I was like, I don't know, like I think 2000 or so, and And to me, I didn't, there's no reference for, is that a good number? Is that a bad number? And he just like right on the spot, and he's like, and you charge, and at that time we were charging 19.99 a month. And he just did the math, and he was like, so you make this much a month? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, oh, that's what you were asking me? You were asking me how much money I make. I was like, ugh, now you're not my favorite drummer
Yeah, no,
anymore.
that's weird.
Oh,
That's
So,
that's
weird.
so I
horrible.
think that that's why I've always since then been super gun shy about it. But the other thing too is we have so many people that have been part of the site for the last 20 years that have grandfathered in. So when we raise our prices, we always grandfather in everybody. Wherever you signed up, you stay there. That's it, unless you cancel. But if you want to stay as a student, we never raise the prices on you. But there's inflation. So we used to be 9.99 a month. Now we're 29.99 a month. It's been 20 years. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I don't really know. I just know, like I said with Amber, I do know when there's moments where I'm like, hey, we might have to stop signups. I can't handle this much work anymore. So I do know that it's a good amount. But I also know that like I don't know. Sometimes I see people that are saying like, we have this many students, and I'm like, no, you don't. That's a flat out lie because I know the numbers in the industry. I know how many drum sets Gretsch sells in the world per year, and you'd be shocked. And same with Ludwig, and same with DW. I remember the first time that DW said like, "Yeah, those are our," those. I was at the warehouse and they were showing me the kits, and I was like, "Is that like for the week?" And they're like, "No, no, that's for the next year." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Yeah, we sell about this many kits," and it was a number that literally floored me, and I was like, "That's." All the kits you sell, and they're like, well, actually, and by the way, this is not a DW thing. I just happened to have I was just a DW artist. This is a Tama Gretsch Pearl thing. And they said, yeah, well, and actually, most of those just go to Guitar Center and sit on the floor. We're only selling this many to customers. And I just thought, whoa. And I went through the same thing with Vader when we put out my signature stick. And they were like, hey, congratulations. It's the top selling stick in the world right now. And they told me the numbers. And I thought it must have been per day. And they were like, no, that's for the quarter. I'm like, wait, for 3 months? Oh, so when people say like, we have 50,000 students, 100,000 students. I'm like, that's how many students you've probably collected emails from at some point. That's how many you're including YouTube subscribers. There aren't that many drummers around. I know that you guys know from having a podcast, you know what your numbers are per listen. There are not 2 million drummers. There's
No.
no way. Like there just are not. And Gemma, from your work with magazines, there are not millions of drummers. There are millions of humans that don't play drums that think drums are cool. And that's where our viral numbers come from, is somebody that sees um, Ellis Tapario, somebody like that. Like that is fun to watch as a human being. Doesn't matter whether you're into drums or not. You see this guy, he's fantastic on the drums. He's got a vibe, he's flipping his sticks, and it's like that's a viral thing. But the problem is it confuses new drummers to think like, well, I only got 100 views and this guy got 2 million. It's like, I lived through that with the drum cover thing in early YouTube days. People getting a million views and me thinking like, wait, are there a million drummers? No, there are not. There are a million people that love Kelly Clarkson and they're willing to watch somebody play drums to one of her songs. And so I think you touched on a nerve, Gemma. I'm getting kind of fired up here.
Yes, sorry.
No,
Calm down. Take a
I
breath.
no, I think actually that's a really important point. Like people need to know the truth because they
Yeah.
question themselves and they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't get this many views and stuff." And it's what you're saying is 100%.
It's not, yeah, it's not a healthy thing, obviously. I think we all know that, but still it's just something where you have to put it into perspective. If you got 30 views on a video, you should put 30 people in a room and see what that feels like. It's a pretty packed room, and that'd be amazing for 30 people to pay attention to you and care about what you're doing. So what I can say, Gemma, about all the numbers is, and this relates a little more to social media than my own website, but all I care about is density. I do not care about the big number. I will take 1,000 dedicated views on Instagram any day over a viral video. Give me 1,000 dedicated. I watched it from minute or from second one until the end of the clip. I'll take that any day over going viral.
So, building a community, which you have done, obviously, there are a number of them around the world. Does it come with a weight of responsibility? And do you have a pressure to always show up?
Yeah. So the pressure seems to be living up to the person that's inside their computer, that's inside their phone, because that is me. I'm never faking it. I mean, you guys have both met me plenty of times. Like it is me, but
Just
I'm
horrible and
also
grumpy the whole time.
I'm a cat person. I don't even like dogs.
Yeah.
Um, but I am much more cynical in a comedic way than I have time to be when I'm teaching a drum lesson. Like my personality is probably closer to Aaron Sterling online than it is to me online because for me all I'm trying to do is teach the drums. I'm not trying it's not MikeJohnston.com. It's not, it's just education. So I think the first time people hear me cuss, that's what they're like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot. How would you know?" Um, but yeah, so that pressure is a little tough. The other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is you have to give me a second to catch up to our friendship. You've created a friendship with me for 10 years on your computer, but I wasn't there for any of it. So a lot of times when people come in hot with the questions about what Eddie and I are up to, I'm like, "Oh, I forgot that that's public knowledge now." Or they'll say like, "Hey, loving the new tattoo, blah blah," things like that. Where I'm like, "How do you know this much? I'm wearing long sleeves. How do you know I have a new tattoo?" So it's like, just give me a second to catch up to our friendship because I wasn't there for this relationship you were creating with your TV or your phone or whatever. So that's a little bit of pressure. And yeah, I mean, you guys have been to the UK Drum Show. You know what it's like to just constantly be like, "Hey, hey, hey!" Like your cheeks hurt. You're smiling all the time. Um, but as far as the community, that's always a weird thing too, because the whole point of our community is for you guys to get to know each other. So I have to be okay seeing like this little pod of Mike's lesson students like get up in the middle of me teaching and go to the main room to go see their favorite drummer. Like, "Bye, Mike. Sorry, Richard Spaven's on the main stage." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But like, I'm not mad that they're leaving my class. I'm mad that I'm not going with them because I want to be a part. I'm like, "Well, I'll come too." So there's a little bit of that. This year at the UK Drum Show is the first time that we're doing like, I was thinking about all these company dinners, which are wonderful, but really like I've gone to a million of them. I was like, why don't we have a Mike's Lessons dinner? Like, why don't that makes way more sense. Like, let's get the students together and just be like, "Look, Zildjian's over there, Meinel's over there, Gretsch is over there. Why don't we just hang with each other?" Like, I want the students to feel what it's like to go to a company dinner. And I know for a fact some of the cats that I know in the industry are going to come by and just hang. And it's like, I can't wait for the students to feel that, like, "Oh my God, that's it. That's him or that's her." Oh, like Annika just swung by and it's like, yeah, cool. Like, I want you to feel what it's like to be a part of this industry because we're very fortunate to be on the inside of it. And more people should get that opportunity to feel that way.
Do you ever feel like you can give too much of yourself to your community? And how do you know, like, once you've reached that point?
That's such a good question. It's so tough because we want to help everyone, but there is a moment where I'm like, "Hey, it is $30 a month, not 300 a month." Like, you've kind of crossed the line. You're asking me now to be your private teacher, and I do have, there's thousands of students. It's like I can't give everyone private lesson attention. That's why the cost is what it is. I can make the same amount of money and go down to 50 students and charge everybody a lot more money. But then it's like, well, that's not the impact I want to have. So it is, I think I've just learned a way to, we have our live streams on Sundays, which is like, this is where you can ask your questions live while I'm on a drum set or in this room. So I try to make myself as available as possible. I have Amber as a buffer. Like, if you hit the contact button on our website, that goes to Amber. And so one of her jobs is she'll get like, between 100 to 200 emails a day. And she answers everything from a logistical standpoint. But if it's drumming related, then she saves those. And those are the things that she's sending to me throughout the day. Like, you need to answer these 12 emails because I can't, they're too drum specific. So, but it can be tough. I mean, I think we're all familiar with somebody just being like, "Hey, I need to get a ride cymbal." And I just think that's a 45-minute conversation. I don't know what your budget is. I don't know where you live. I don't know if there's any dealers next to you. I don't know how loud you play. What style of music do you like? So it's not as simple as like, get a round one, like I have to be like, oh, I need more information in the question. But as far as giving too much and finding that balance, I'm just really fortunate that I've had 20 years to find that balance where obviously in the beginning, I wanted to be everyone's best friend. I wanted to be everybody's private teacher. And there's just not enough time in the day.
You are always like pushing forward with new ideas and you're evolving. You've mentioned Steve Jobs. Do you actually have like a mentor in a way to like keep you moving forward, or is that just your brain?
Probably both. I definitely have some local mentors that are people in business and in tech that have just inspired me a lot. So the guy that helped me create the Groove Scribe, he's one of my biggest heroes in the world. I hope he's never listening to this. He's a dear friend. I never want him to know that I said the word hero, but I do really look up to him. His name is Lou Montulli, and he was a founder of Netscape, a founder of Firefox or Mozilla, worked on Shutterfly. He invented cookies, invented GIFs. So like he's a real like, oh my God, you changed the world. And so getting to work with him on a product like the Groove Scribe, but then just be his friend over the years. He's somebody that I think maybe because one, my dad's not around, even though Lou's not much older than me. My dad's not around and I'm an only child. I don't have a dad or big brothers to like make proud. Like I have no one to say like I hope you're proud of me. So Lou is in that category of like I just do the work and I just hope from afar he's like, wow, man, he could have taken this mindset and brought it to Silicon Valley and done something in tech or done something in business. But I was relentless in like, I know this can be done in the drumming community. And I'm trying to make him proud all the time. Steve Jobs is somebody that I'm constantly asking myself every decision he made, what would have been the outcome if he was kind? Could that have been better if he had kindness? I love his ability to see the future and see what people needed before they saw it for themselves. But I'm always wondering, like, could he have accomplished all that and been nice to the people around him? What if he inspired the people around him? Because of the location of our camp being only an hour and a half away from Apple Park and the Silicon Valley world, we get a lot of former Apple employees here at camp that worked under Steve Jobs. And, I'm always wondering, like, was it inspiring? And they're like, I'm still recovering. I'm like, God, it's been like 20 years, and like, I'm like, okay, so I don't idolize that side of his personality. Because that's something too. When people, I'm like, yeah, Steve Jobs is one of my heroes. They're like, he was a dick, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't say I like the guy. I never even met him. But yeah, so I would say that a lot of everything, business wise and mindset wise, it does come from having people that have been very kind to see what I was doing and be like, oh, you're cute. Like, look at you trying with business, like really successful business people, men and women that just were like, okay, how do you want this to go forward? Like one of the biggest decisions we made, I would say Drumeo is a good example of two completely separate paths. We decided to not have employees. We decided to not become a company. And when I look at what Jared did, because we started both very similar time wise, like I think he started freedrumlessons.com around the same time as mikeslessons.com, or maybe we were just calling it that on YouTube before we even had businesses. But he went a very, very traditional business path, and I went a very complete opposite path. And we both ended up in places that we were really happy with, and with companies that we were happy with. So I kind of see it as like, yeah, we could have gone for rounds of investment. We could have a board of directors and we could have all that, but then I wouldn't be happy as a person. So for me, every business decision there's a little tattoo on my hand that says joy. But and then there's a word down here that says effort. And so every piece of effort that I put in has to get closer to joy constantly. I can only do this thing and put effort into it if it brings me joy. And that's kind of the direction we went. But I also look at other companies or different directions I could have gone and I just think like, that's amazing what you've accomplished. So there's no right or wrong way. There's only the right or wrong reasons for doing the thing you're doing.
I'd like to ask you about stage persona next.
Ooh, let's
Yeah.
go.
So I saw you, like I said, at that Minor Drum Fest back
Hmm.
then. I saw you last year at the UK Drum Show. You're still very funny. So that hasn't changed. But you just, the confidence is like, you just, yeah, I think you're one of the most confident people that I've ever met. And I wondered if you kind of have focused on developing that, or if there are people who've inspired you. I've put here on my list specifically motivational speakers or comedians or other drummers. Are there people that you kind of get ideas from?
Yeah, 100%. So, starting at the Minor Drum Festival, it all started with a fellow Brit, Mr. Brian Cox. So Brian Cox is my public speaking hero. He's he. I remember he gave a TED talk about the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland, and it was the most expensive science project ever in the history of humankind. And they turned it on and it broke. And he went out to a TED audience. This is the real TED, not like TEDx. This is TED in San Diego, all geniuses in the crowd. And he just swaggered his ass up there and he was like, "Hey, everybody, I'm Brian Cox." And just said, "So this is the Large Hadron Collider." It was a picture on the screen. He's like, we broke it. I was partially responsible, and just moved on in a way that I was like, whoa, whoa, how are they okay with this? Like they probably all donated to it. And they were all like, yeah, whatever you say, Brian, you're the man. And then he talked about string theory and black holes and particle physics. And I just thought, I don't even know what's happening, but I'm all in. And so then I started reverse engineering, like watching like how did he walk to the stage? Was it a slow gait? Was it a fast gait? What were his hands doing on the way to the stage? Did he grab the microphone or did he stand in front of it? And I just reverse engineered everything he did in his public speaking persona. And then there's another string theorist named Brian Greene, an American guy, and he's really good at the same thing and telling stories. And I would just think, okay, they've got a front angle on him, a front camera. How much do they have to pan left and right to keep up with him? Does that make him seem nervous or does that make him seem confident? So then I would have like at the UK drum show, you never would see it, but I would usually put two tiny pieces of black gaff tape at the front of the stage, spaced out by about 6 feet. And I would just tell myself, you can't go left of that or right of that. Otherwise, people are going to have to turn their heads too much to keep track of where you're going, and you're going to seem nervous. So I consider that the nervous zone. If you go more left than that piece of tape, you're nervous. If you stay inside that tape, you're confident. And so all of it was just practice. I'm not a confident public speaker. I wasn't like a kid in drama class or like, oh, I'll do a speech. And now I can't, it's my favorite part. So, yeah, I would say the best news for everyone listening is it's all practiced. But I do those things like the UK drum show. I'll run that on my stage. I put all the lights I have in the whole building on me at 100%, take off all of the baffling, so it's just a bright light in my face, and I'll just go start to finish, start to finish. I'll do it like 5 times in a day, and every single one has to be a brand new adventure. Like, okay, you're going to come out and this is a nervous crowd. Teach the whole clinic start to finish with a nervous crowd. Then you're going to come out and they're going to be super excited and they clap for you and there's a huge round of applause. Ride that energy wave as much as you can. And so basically by the time that I get to a stage performance, I've already experienced in my mind all of the possible outcomes. So whatever happens, I'm prepared to lean into that with the audience.
Can I jump in and ask a question?
Yeah.
When you're doing that 5 times, do you film it and then like critique?
No, I don't think I could watch myself do it.
Does Amber?
Yeah. So Amber used to actually attend these things before she was like, I never need to go to one of these again. And she would just, with like a pen and paper, she would have a little dash next to and you know. And then she would just say there was 37 ums, 22 and 15 you knows. And then I would try to make that number go down every time. So she would help me with public speaking too.
Do different things work for different parts of the world?
Oh, 100%. Holy Germany, Japan. Oh my God. Germany is one of my favorite places in the world. That's where Meinl is. I love going there. But their crowd is so respectful that they think it's disrespectful to interrupt you in any way, shape, or form. So they just sit through the whole thing, and you, as an American, are completely positive that they hate you. And then as soon as it's over, they go, life changing. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You didn't even move. And in their minds, they're like, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. You were clearly on a in a flow there. So anyways, so that was kind of one of those like, okay, so I have to learn how these different because I thought it went bad, but it didn't go bad. They were being very respectful. And then some are actually they're so into it. It's I don't see it as disrespectful at all, but they're yelling through the whole thing. And then I'm like, oh well, that's a different way to handle it. So I think that honestly that the UK drum show is probably my favorite thing because it's a good mix. You're going to have some people from Germany there, from around the world, some Americans that flew in, a bunch of British people, you know, and just European in general. And so but it is different. And the other thing too that you cannot account for is the energy in the room. Like I remember last year, I don't know if either of you got a chance to see Isaac Jamba in my room, but he went on after me on day one, and it was his first time ever doing anything like this, and it was brilliant. It was great. But on day two, he went on before me, and my nickname for him is Walking Sunshine. He is so positive and so happy. And I had to go on right after him. And I had planned on going way in on the like, hey, now it's time to have some fun. But we couldn't have more fun than we just had. And I was like, oh shit. Like I have to completely change everything. My entire approach has to change because I can't build upon what he's done. He took everybody to the happiest, most joyful place. So now, me being Mr. Joyful, it's not going to work. Like people can't stay up. So now I got to bring them back down. And so, or you put the fear of God into people. So Kira got to experience that. If you start bringing people up on stage, then every single person in that crowd is instantly attentive because they think they might be next. And so when I'm bringing people up on stage, it's not a gag, but it's very much so on purpose. I know that, okay, we're tired. We've seen 46 drummers already. It's Sunday. Everyone's drummed out. My only way to get their heart rate up is to think they might be playing on this kit in the next 25 seconds. And Kara got up and smashed it. I think you played September, was it? By Earth, Wind, and
Yeah.
Fire?
Yeah, I was having,
Yeah.
I thought I thought, right, that I'd worked on myself and my confidence. It was all blown to smithereens when you were like, you're gonna play, you're gonna play, you're gonna play. And I was like
Yeah.
having a nervous breakdown. So
It's,
thank
I
you.
can't feel my hands. I can't feel my hands.
I have no
Yeah.
sticks. I was like, I
Yeah.
have none. I can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm
But
like, I
thank
know a
you.
guy. It's fine.
Thank you
But
for that.
you smashed it, and I wouldn't pick somebody that couldn't handle the moment. And also too, it's like that was a really cool moment for people to see like, okay, this room, the education room, if someone like Kira who performed the year before in Dolbear's room, like this is a professional drummer, like if she's willing to just go up there and play for a little bit, Will Daly, who's an endorsed drummer, he's up there. It's like, okay, this room is clearly has a different feel, and this is a community room. So that part was really important to bringing the room together.
What has been one of the biggest challenges you faced, but you've learned the most from?
Oh, um, that's a really good question. I think maintaining where you get to, the rise from being completely unknown, and then Meinl Drum Festival was like that first thing of like, oh wow, this company is going to allow a drum teacher. I had no band, I have nothing, no credits to my name because everything that happened in my career before YouTube doesn't exist. So there's no like, oh, he used to do this or he used to do that. It's like I came out of nowhere and I was just a drum teacher. And then Meinl said, we are going to put some weight behind you. You're going to be on stage in between Yost Nickel and Benny Greb. And it's like, what? Like, I'm a drum teacher. This makes no sense. So from that moment to then PASIC, then all the drum festivals in the world, then the cover of Modern Drummer, Drum Magazine, UK Drummer, Drummer, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap. Like that was a fun rocket ride. But as soon as you get there, that's when you realize like, I don't know. Well, there's nothing next. There are no more Drum Magazine covers. There are no more. I've played all the festivals. How do I stay here? And what is here? Like, what actually matters to me? Do I need these social media numbers to make myself feel good? Do I need, like Gemma said, do I need like a community to be like, okay, the numbers are up. We're getting more signups. I'm valuable or I'm successful. I mean, definitely you go into some pretty serious internal battles of like, what makes me valuable as a human being? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this because there was, when you're always climbing the mountain, you never look around. You just do the work. You just put your head down, do the work, go, go, go. And then you get to the summit and it's like, I know all the cliches. Trust me. I've seen every meme of like, when you get to the top of the mountain, there, you just see more mountain. And it's like, okay. The reality is it's not that easy. You start to wonder like the imposter syndrome comes in way more when you're successful than when you're not. You're not an imposter when nothing's going well. You're just trying to do something. You're just trying, you're just having fun. As soon as you're successful, that's when it's like, wait, did I fool somebody? What makes me me? How much should I practice drums? So I would say that's been the toughest thing, and still to this day is like I live in a Groundhog Day scenario that I've created for myself. Every day is basically the same unless I'm traveling. And sometimes it's like, should I be practicing drums? Like, what's the balance? Am I even a drummer or am I just a teacher that happens to play drums? I will say this last camp I just did with Isaac and Ash Sohn, it's the most inspired I've been to drum in a long time. Like I truly want to get better at the instrument, and I haven't felt that in a while. I'm always trying to think like, well, what can I film next, and how can it look better? And maybe I only practice to film something, and now I just actually want to get better as a player. But yeah, I would say as far as what's been the most difficult, it's like be careful what you wish for type thing, because then it's like, well, you have to maintain this, otherwise all you're going to do is just go downhill, and that's tough.
I think this might be our last question.
Bring it.
Oh my God. So you've got, I'm so conscious of my ums now. Fucking hell.
I'm gonna send Amber
Jesus.
to your next clinic, and she'll give you a report card.
Absolutely no. I'll have 100 ums and so right. You've got your amazing room, education room at the UK Drum Show, at the European Drum Show. How do you keep it? How do you keep it different each time? Like vibe.
Not just the different people.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Like how is it fresh for you each time, and it doesn't get old in a sense.
Yeah. Well, one, it's the people that walk into the room and it's the energy they walk in with, which is no joke. You see them walk in and maybe they just left having their mind blown by their favorite drummer. And I always think, hey, it's going to be just fine. I know what you just saw. I know what you just experienced. I've been in those seats. It's going to be okay. No, you're not supposed to be able to do that. That person, that man or woman, they can't hold a conversation with another human being. They play drums 18 hours a day, and someone puts food on their floor tom and they eat from that. Like, that is not a normal person. Like, don't worry about it. Because the general person going to the UK drum show, obviously we have young people that are kind of maybe considering this to be a career, but a lot of people are like in their 30s to 40s to 50s and are like drumming maybe a half hour a day at most, and they just like the drums. The drums are their vacation from their reality. Maybe a tough job, maybe a busy family life, but every once in a while they get to go down into their room, put on their headphones, and be in their favorite band. So I love when I see those people come through the door, and I go like, it's gonna be all right. You're in safe hands here. But the other thing is, even though the people are changing, I don't think the Europe Drum Show was the first time, because we had someone drop out. It was the first time ever that I didn't have one of my dear friends as a part of that room. So the biggest thing that makes that room what it is that the teachers don't leave. We're all there. I mean, I don't tell them you can't leave, but it's like, well, this is the fun room. And this is where it is pretty cool to be teaching something. Look over to my left and see Richard Spavin and just say, without any fear of being judged, just say, is that how you handle a shuffle? And then he just walks up and he's like, well, actually, I do it this way. And it's like the crowd gets to be a part of that. And that's what it's about. Or I can make eye contact with Kara in the room and go like, hey, come up here real quick and show us your favorite drum fill. And she just can. And it's on the main stage, there's so much pressure there. And it's so intense for the crowd and for the artist. And then if the artist is feeling the pressure, the crowd feels the pressure. And now it's just different. And so the whole point of the education room was like, well, what if you just came in and sat down? Even if you only come to our room to rest your legs, I'm fine with that. Like, come and hang out. And, but yeah, as far as keeping it fresh, I think it's just making sure that I bring in what I would call uncles and aunts. Like, I'm only bringing in people that I feel comfortable. Like, this is, Aunt Annika, this is Uncle Spaven, and like you're in safe hands. I actually can now go get a bite to eat because I know you're in safe hands with Yost Nickel. Everything's gonna be fine. We had Matt Greiner, like one of the kindest human beings that has ever lived in the world of metal, and he's just got this like aw shucks thing, and then he goes like, "Duh, Satan, Beelzebub," and like he plays this like death metal music, and then by the way, I know he's Christian, and he's but he plays this like super heavy music, and then he says, "Hey guys, all right, well, I'm gonna break it down for you," and I'm like, "All right, they're in safe hands." So I think that that's the goal. Is like whoever I involve in that room, they have to be main stage level artists, so they've either played the main stage or they're at a point in their career where they would be on the main stage very soon, but they just have to be great people. But I will say this: I'm running out of people because I just don't get around enough and meet enough drummers. So I'm really this year I kind of want to spend more time backstage on the main stage and just getting to know these people. Where it's like, well, obviously I know who you are, but I've never met you. Like, are you cool? And the other thing too that people don't realize too is like not every drummer can teach, and I don't want to put a drummer in that room that puts them in an I don't want them to be in an uncomfortable situation of like they're like, I'd rather just play on the main stage for 45 minutes straight and then say any questions. That's a very normal thing for people of this caliber. They've spent their entire life getting great at a craft. So I have to find the people that are that good, but also can handle 45 minutes of education. So it's always tough. But this year we have Dexter Hercules from Ed Sheeran's band. He's amazing and he's so kind and positive. I cannot wait for people to get to know him better because he doesn't do a lot of drum stuff. He's always putting up clips of him with Ed Sheeran, which by the way, I would too if I was playing stadiums every day. But I don't think anyone knows how great he is as a player. And then we have Yost Nickel, who's, I would say, I hope he doesn't listen to this either, but he is probably my favorite drummer in the world. And so I'm really excited because I've gotten a chance to work with him so many times, but every time I'm reminded like, oh yeah, I forgot, like my friend is also like one of the best drummers. And I honestly think that Yost might be the most influential drummer in the last 20 years. I just don't know if people know that where they're getting their information from trickled down from him and kind of permeated into a lot of drummers that we all look up to. But so I'm really excited to have him there. And then I have Jay Postones from the band Tesseract, which I'm excited for because I don't understand what's happening. And I can't wait for him to explain what's happening. So it should be fun.
Well, we're looking forward to it, aren't we? We're
Yay!
both going to be there.
And you'll both be playing on stage.
I've done it.
Gonna learn those thumb grip things.
Gemma's turn.
Oh no, please. I got so nervous when you said like, right, people up. And I said to Kira afterwards, I just went right back to like music college days of fear of sitting like, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me.
This is what me and Gemma share. It's the fear at college. You're like, don't make eye contact with the teacher for fuck's sake, because it's so awful. Everyone's sitting there going, go on then. Let's see you fuck up. Oh.
Right. Well, and that's, I mean, honestly, that's the environment we're trying to foster is the polar opposite of that because people have experienced that. Like, I need to know that my crowd is constantly chanting in their mind, you got this, you got this, you got this, whenever I bring somebody up. And I think that room provides that environment. That's the goal, at least. It's like, hey, there's no one here that it gets out of those fears that you guys have. There's no one in this room that hasn't felt this way at some point in time. And I think you have two options. Every time someone plays drums, they are either my past or my future. Those are the only two options. Like, I have to look and go like, oh my God, I totally remember when my limbs felt like that and I couldn't really do that. Or I look at somebody like Isaac Jamba or Ash Sohn and I go, man, if I put in that many hours, that could be my future too. So it's inspirational both ways.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please do go and leave a 5-star rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. It would mean the world. Thank you so much and see you next time.